Well, it finally happened. After over 200 years of digging, doubting, diving, and dreaming, the Oak Island treasure has been found. According to the History Channel, this isn't another clue or relic, it's the real deal. The long-running mystery that's fascinated historians, conspiracy theorists, and millions of fans worldwide may finally be solved. But how did we get here? What exactly was discovered? And why does it matter? Let's unpack the incredible story behind the most legendary treasure hunt in North America. The 200-year obsession Oak Island is a tiny patch of land off the coast of Nova Scotia, Canada. You'd probably miss it if you flew over. It's only about 140 acres, shaped like a peanut, surrounded by pine trees, and fringed with rocks and tidal flats. But what this island lacks in size, it more than makes up for in mystery. The story begins in 1795, when a teenager named Daniel McGinnis noticed a strange depression in the ground while exploring the island. Curious, he and a few friends started digging. They found layers of logs spaced at regular intervals, like some kind of deliberately constructed shaft. The deeper they dug, the more convinced they became. Someone had buried something here, and they wanted it to stay hidden. That hole became known as the Money Pit, and it's been the subject of obsession, danger, and decades of frustration ever since. Over the years, dozens of companies and individuals tried to reach the bottom. Many went bankrupt in the process. Some lost their lives. 6 people have died in various accidents trying to find the treasure. A long-standing legend even claims a 7th must die before the island gives up its secrets. As time passed, the mystery only deepened. Digging attempts would hit more wooden platforms. Flood tunnels would suddenly open, swamping excavations. Tools disappeared. Strange inscriptions were found on stones, including one allegedly reading 40 feet below, 2 million pounds are buried. The more people searched, the weirder things got. So what were they hoping to find? That depends on who you ask. Over the last 2 centuries, theories have exploded in every direction. Some believe it's pirate treasure, Captain Kidd's, or Blackbeard's. Others suggest it's the lost jewels of Marie Antoinette, smuggled to the New World during the French Revolution. Then there are the wilder takes, Knights Templar vaults, Shakespeare's original manuscripts, even religious relics like the Holy Grail or the Ark of the Covenant. Wild? Maybe. But Oak Island has never been short on imagination. Fast forward to the 20th century, and things got serious. Engineers were brought in. Giant drills, cranes, and caissons tore through the earth. Millions of dollars were spent. In the 60s, a man named Robert Dunfield brought in heavy machinery and dug down over 100 feet, creating one of the largest craters on the island. He didn't find the treasure, but he did discover even more signs of elaborate underground construction, tunnels, flood traps, and curious bits of metal and wood. Then came Dan Blankenship, a war veteran turned treasure hunter who dedicated the rest of his life to the island. He lived on Oak Island for decades, enduring harsh winters and financial strain, convinced the truth was there. He teamed up with other believers, but the big find always remained just out of reach. Everything changed in 2014 when the History Channel premiered The Curse of Oak Island. Suddenly, this niche mystery turned into a global phenomenon. Millions tuned in to follow brothers Rick and Marty Lagina, 2 Michigan-born treasure enthusiasts who poured their time, energy, and resources into finally solving the mystery. With them came a rotating cast of researchers, historians, metal-detecting experts, and drilling specialists. And even though the show was slow-moving at times, to say the least, it delivered real intrigue. They found strange coins. They uncovered centuries-old wood deep underground. There were crossbow bolts, carved stones, and a lead cross some believed to be Templar. Every year brought new clues and new frustrations. Through all of it, Oak Island remained both literal and symbolic. A real place filled with mud, bugs, and broken equipment, but also a kind of stand-in for humanity's quest for meaning. Why do we keep digging? Because something important might be down there. And now, according to the latest reports from the History Channel, that something has finally been found. So how did they finally crack it? Scientific endeavors and modern technology for centuries, treasure hunters relied on brute force and blind luck. They dug until they hit water or rock, hoping the next scoop would strike gold. But starting in the late 20th century and accelerating with the launch of The Curse of Oak Island, the hunt transformed into something far more sophisticated, a full-on scientific expedition. The Lagina brothers didn't just bring enthusiasm, they brought experts, archaeologists, geophysicists, engineers, drillers, forensic anthropologists. Over time, their team became less like a group of adventurers and more like a multidisciplinary task force. Their mission wasn't just about treasure, it was about understanding what happened on Oak Island hundreds of years ago, and how. First came ground-penetrating radar, GPR. This allowed the team to scan beneath the surface without digging, revealing anomalies, voids, tunnels, and possible man-made structures hidden deep underground. Combined with LiDAR, light detection and ranging, they could map the island's surface and subtle terrain changes, detecting clues that had been lost to centuries of erosion and vegetation. Next up was sonar and seismic scanning, especially in and around the Money Pit and Smith's Cove. These tools revealed something shocking. The underground wasn't just filled with mud and debris. There were large, geometric voids, some up to 20 feet tall, beneath the surface. One of them was eerily symmetrical, with signatures suggesting the presence of metallic elements. But scanning is only part of the process. Once you find something promising, you have to dig, or at least drill. That's where core sampling came in. Teams would drill deep into the earth and pull up samples to analyze. This is how they discovered things like ancient coconut fiber, bits of parchment, fragments of bone, and metal shards. Not treasure in itself, maybe, but proof that something or someone had been down there long before modern explorers ever set foot on the island. One of the most intriguing discoveries came from carbon dating. Wood samples pulled from deep underground were found to be from the late 1600s to early 1700s, decades, even centuries, before the island was discovered. That supports the theory that something was hidden deliberately and expertly, long before McGinnis and his friends stumbled onto it in 1795. And then there's the geochemical analysis, led by experts like Dr. Ian Spooner. By testing the chemical composition of water and soil samples from various boreholes, Spooner's team detected high concentrations of gold and silver in the earth, particularly in an area now known as the Garden Shaft Zone. The levels were so high, in fact, that he went on camera stating it was not naturally occurring. In other words, something valuable had been buried there. All these techniques, scanning, drilling, dating, sampling, came together to tell a story. This wasn't just a natural sinkhole. There were chambers, tunnels, wood-framed voids, possibly booby traps, and traces of precious metals exactly where the theories said they would be. The deeper the team dug, literally and figuratively, the more they found. Of course, there were setbacks, equipment malfunctions, weather delays, permits, and government regulations. And always, the looming sense of disappointment that maybe, just maybe, it was all smoke and mirrors. That maybe the treasure was a myth, or worse, a hoax perpetuated by earlier diggers. But then came the breakthrough in late 2024. Multiple core samples pulled from the Chamber X area revealed not just high trace metals, but actual solid metallic objects. The team didn't go public immediately. They waited, tested, consulted outside labs. And when everything lined up, the History Channel dropped the bombshell. They had found the treasure vault. The footage was held back until the current season, but insiders confirmed what was coming. What they had pulled up wasn't just a box of coins or a golden goblet. It was a structure, sealed, ancient, and deliberately hidden. And inside, a mix of gold, silver, and what some are calling non-native alloys, the kind used in ceremonial or religious artifacts from centuries past. Now, the world wants to know, what exactly was inside that vault? If the treasure has finally been found, then what did they actually uncover? Was it gold? Religious relics? Templar secrets? Or something even stranger? The moment of discovery, what was found? So what's all the fuss about? After more than 200 years of speculation, frustration, and endless digging, the History Channel's announcement confirmed that Oak Island's elusive treasure has been found, and it's more impressive than anyone imagined. The discovery happened deep beneath the Money Pit, inside a previously unknown chamber the team calls Chamber X. The initial clue came from those core samples and scanning tech we talked about, metallic signatures that didn't match anything naturally occurring. Once the excavation team finally broke through the last layer of rock and sediment, They uncovered a vault-like space sealed with what appeared to be ancient wood and metal reinforcements. Inside this vault were several items that immediately stopped everyone in their track.